what did they say about me?
That you're good. Good.
They said the smartest, most handsomest man was coming to visit you?
Yes.
Smart people. That's exactly right. What did they tell you I was going to do today? Did they tell you what I like to do? Yes, my dear.
They said that you were going to do like message class.
Yeah, I'm going to do some writing. It's my favorite thing to do is to write. How about you? What's your favorite thing? What grade is this?
Fifth.
What's your favorite thing to do in 5th grade? Yes.
Mine's art.
You like art? It's kind of like writing, isn't it? It's about creating something, right? That has kind of a message or a feeling or something like that, yeah? What's your favorite thing about 5th grade?
Science.
Science. Are you a scientist? You like to investigate things? Cool. What about you?
I like writing also.
All right. Yeah, what kind of writing do you do? What kind of writing have you done?
We usually do personal narratives,
Yes.
but I like fiction.
Oh. I do a lot of personal narratives. A lot of times I write stories. You know who my favorite character is? Yes. I'm my favorite character. I'm in all my stories. But one of the things I like to do is I like to, I write stories, that I'm involved in, but usually other people, and I like to give them as gifts, like my kids. I've got 3 kids, and I might write about the day they were born, the story of the day they were born and things like that. So that's kind of exciting. So, what about you, my dear? What's your favorite thing about 5th grade? You're a math. You're a numbers person. I'm a word person, right? Not a number person. So, yes, sir. What about you? Language arts. So do you like kind of reading and writing? Do you like that part of thing, or what part of language arts do you like? Oh, you like all of it. All right, cool. What about you, my dear?
I'm an artist.
Are you an artist too? So we have some artists in here, huh? A couple, anybody else an artist? I like an artiste. Okay. All right, very cool. Yes, sir. What are you thinking?
Writing.
You're into writing too? All right, very cool. Here's the other thing. We're going to talk a little bit more, but I feel like you guys are very far away from me. So do you guys ever scoot up?
Yeah.
You know how to do? Well, wait a minute. Before you do that, do you know how to do it so you don't take anybody out with you? You know what I mean by that? All right. I don't have to talk about behavior or anything with you, do I? Like one of the things I'm kind of big into is being under control. Do you know what that means, to be under control? What's it mean?
It means like no birding, no being off task.
Yes. Can you monitor yourself? Can you monitor your own? Can you control yourself? Can you monitor yourself? Does the teacher have to do it? You can do it. That's what I love about 5th grade. You can kind of monitor yourself. All right, very cool. All right. Today I'm not going to do one of my favorite things is to write stories or personal narratives. Right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do some other kind of writing. Do you know what I'm going to do? Yes?
Opinion writing.
I am going to do an opinion writing because I think if I had a second favorite thing, right? My first favorite thing is the fact about writing stories where I'm the main character. I'm the most beloved character. And then my second favorite writing is to tell people what I think. How about that?
Yeah.
And guess what kind of writing that is when you tell people what you think? Yes.
Opinion
It
writing.
is opinion writing. Do you guys have any opinions?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep. Today, though, whose opinion is the most important?
Yours.
I love that. I love being a teacher. All right. So anyways, we're going to do some opinion writing, and I want to think about that. So for me, it's about, thinking about opinion writing is about having a preference. And that, that's why I like to talk about it. I have a preference, I have an opinion, I have a preference for things, and, I like to share that opinion or that preference, right? There are more effective ways to do that, right? Like writing a story, there are more effective ways to write stories than others, right? The same thing with opinion writing is that a structure is hugely important. So when you think of a narrative, a personal narrative, what's the big structure behind it that can help you behind a narrative? Anybody? Go ahead.
Your own personal background.
Okay.
Personal stories.
All right, so it's your own person, you're taking your own, things, your own background, right? I call them memories, right? Doing that. what's the structure of a memory though? I mean, how does a story unfold, right, that structure? I feel like she's like, not sure, she's like, do I take a risk, do I not take a risk? Go ahead, what do you think? What's the structure of a story? How does a story unfold? She's thinking, I can see her mind working. Any, how does it start out? Yes, I don't want to, what do you think?
You think of your memory, then you start thinking of it more, and then it comes out to the whole
Yep.
figure.
I mean, I guess this is what I think is, where do you start with a memory? Where do you start with a narrative, I guess? That's the question I'm
Catchy
thinking.
opening?
Say it again?
Catchy opening?
Yes, a catchy opening. I'm thinking about the broad structure. Isn't it a beginning, middle, and end? Do your memories have a beginning, middle, and end, and things like that? Right, and you have to think about a kind of a catchy beginning, right, things like that. Well, an opinion has a different kind of structure. It doesn't have a beginning, middle, and end. It has an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, right? And that it's not quite the same thing, right? In a story, the beginning is usually, well, let me ask you, what is in the beginning of a story or a memory? What do you find in the beginning? Yes, my dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe traveling to the place or
Okay.
knowing something about it to happen.
Yep. For me, it's about, I have a character, that's where you find out the character. So what would you find out in my story? About who right away? About me. And then you'd also find out about the setting, right? Where the story's gonna happen. I wanna kind of set the tone, right, for this is where it starts to take place, right? Well, an opinion writing, you're not gonna do that, right? But what I have to tell you right away is kind of, what is my opinion, right? What's my preference? So, like a narrative, I'm gonna try to have a catchy beginning. Why? Why do you have catchy beginnings? Yes, sir.
To try to get readers to get into the story.
Yeah, to try to get readers into the story, right? So I'm gonna be thinking about how do I do that? And then pretty quickly, I'm gonna have to try to get my opinion out there, right? So, when you write, do you organize your writing?
Yes.
How? Yes,
A graphic organizer.
yes. And what does that graphic organizer help you do? Yes,
It helps you organize your thinking
yes. Into what?
into a story,
Yes.
Like,
And the story is made up of what?
paragraph.
Yes. How many paragraphs do you typically write? Or minimally, what would you write?
4 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, 3 or 4. Yep, and so that's what I'm gonna be doing that's the other thing that's kind of the same between a narrative writing and, informational writing or opinion writing, is I'm gonna have 3 paragraphs, right? But the paragraphs are gonna be different. Are you ready for me to talk about my opinion?
Yes.
You wanna know how I feel?
Yeah.
All right. If I said the word homework, I figured that would be the thing. Do you have a strong preference about homework? Yes, you do? Okay. Well, I kind of have a strong preference about homework too. What do you think my preference might be if you're, what do you think my preference might be? Yes, my dear?
You might think that homework's good for kids that are learning to.
Okay. All right, what do you think my preference
Because
might be?
basically for us, homework is basically the same thing as what we did in class, just
Okay.
in
Okay. All right. Well, yes, what do you think, my dear?
Well, if you don't understand something in class that you learned that day, homework will help you because it's probably more easier than what it was.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hoping you might be surprised what my preference is about homework. But one of the things I do is I work with teachers, and so we talk about a lot of things. And one of the things I kind of do talk about is homework, right? And so when I thought about coming here, I thought, oh, this would give me a good opportunity to really get better at articulating my preference, right? What does that mean? Getting better at articulating my preference. Anybody? What do you think articulating my preference is?
Making it better and making it more
Yeah,
clear.
yeah. I want to be clear about and I want to be able to support my ideas, right, with things so that people will say, oh, you know, he has a preference, but he's got good reasons for his preference, right? And that's really what an opinion is. So, what I did was, before I came here, can you see back there? All right, if you can't see, I need you to let me know you can't see, because I'm gonna be looking at you and looking at my paper, right? So you need to let me know if you can't see something, right? So I picked up some things, a couple of different articles. I picked up this one, which is homework or not. And this is the question, this is the research question. And then I picked up this one, which, you know, talked about the case for and against homework. And I think there was a third one in here. Typically I might have rethinking homework. And, you know, I picked this one because I'm familiar with this moment right here. So anyways, I was looking to, you know, because I have a preference, and I was looking to see, is my preference, was it in there? And I did find kind of support for my preference. And so I just want to talk about, you know, what I'm thinking now about how do I articulate my preference, right? So anyways, can I show you what I've got so far? I've already started my research, and I guess I want some feedback from you. What does that mean, that I want some feedback from you? Let's pick on you back there. What's your name?
Jack.
What is it?
Zach.
Jack?
Zach.
Oh, Zach. What's feedback mean? I'm looking for feedback.
It's like information.
Yes, I'm looking for information from you, right? So, and here's the thing, from now on, if you're not raising your hand, when I ask a question, I'm gonna call on those that don't have their hands up. Okay? All right. So anyways, here's kind of here's what I came up with, and you know, one of the things that I'm looking at my body, one of the things is it's about reasons. And so one of the things that came through that came through this reading were about studies. What are studies? I'm looking for people who don't have their hands up. Let me think. Watch this. Oh, you have your hand up. What's the word? What studies mean?
Study.
See, I like to trick people. What's a study? What do you think a study is?
You study
Say it again.
you study research.
You study research, right? That research is about studies, right? Which is, it takes a problem and develops it. I love that. And so that, I thought this would be really good, because having studies is a good thing to support your preference, isn't it? All right, so anyways, let me talk to you about the graphic organizer. I have, what's the first part of my graphic organizer? Let me see, who wants to, I want to see how many people are ready to answer my question. What's an introduction? You. What's your name? Okay, what's an introduction? Yeah, that's exactly right. It's the first part of my, it's not a story, but it's my opinion, right? So, you know, what I wrote is, here's my opinion, right up here. You can see it right down here. I'm gonna state it right up front. What's my opinion? What's my opinion?
Less is more.
Less is more. So how do you think I'm feeling about homework? Yes.
That you want less because more might overwhelm
Okay.
someone. And
All
be like,
right.
"Ew."
All right. That sometimes I think that that we have too much homework and it kind of complicates things, right? So I want less homework for kids, right? And so so that's really what my preference is. And now I'm going to talk about how I'm going to organize for that. So remember, somebody said I have to have a catchy beginning. So that's what I did. I call it this right here. What do I call that catchy beginning? I call it a lead. Have you heard that before? And then here's my lead right here. And do you see these things right here?
Quotation marks.
Quotation marks, right? And this isn't dialogue, because a dialogue is in
Information.
a narrative. I'm using this as a quote that somebody said, and that's a little bit different than dialogue, right? And here's the quote that I start off. I think people might like this. That's not how my teacher does it, right? And that comes from my son, because I used to try to help him with homework, right? So anyways, this is my introduction, and this is actually what it sounded like. I've already started writing it. Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
And I need feedback on it, so I want you to tell me if you think it's an effective introduction. Ready? That's not how my teacher does it was an all too familiar reaction from Colin when I would try to help him with his work in middle school. And now I'm starting to get into my opinion, right? That's my lead. And here's my opinion. Homework is a hot topic these days because of all the high stakes testing required by the state for all students. But perhaps that is a mistake. It may be the less homework is the answer. Or maybe I should take out this right here. Maybe it's this. It may be less homework is the answer. All right? That's my introduction. Say it again. What'd you say? Nothing? Okay. What did you think about my introduction for my opinion? Is it effective? What do you think? Yes, sir, what do you
I
think?
think it's really effective.
What's effective about it?
That you gave a lot of what's it called? He gave a lot of good answers and
Okay. All right, the first thing I did, the thing that I led off with was a personal thing, right? The idea that Colin, my son, says, you know, that's not how my teacher does it, Dad, right? So that's how because I think, is that something that you might say? Do you think that's something adults hear a lot, right, when they do homework with their kids? Yep, so that was a personal thing. And then the other thing which I try to do is put some facts in there too, even to back up my opinion, which is the reason you get a lot of homework is because you guys have to take tests, you know, state tests and things like that. That's pretty important, isn't it? All right. And then, what is my opinion? What is my preference? Yes.
less homework.
Yeah, less homework. And now what do I have to do? I've got my lead. I've given you an idea about my preference or my opinion. What do I got to do now?
You gotta back it up.
I got to back it up, and I have to back it up with reasons, right? And that's what I have right here, are my reasons. So let me just talk about this. Oh, this is the other thing I need to do. I can tell I did it. I put a check mark next to that's not how my teacher does it, right? And then I have a check mark after Colin. I have a check mark after hot topic and testing, and that less is more. What are all those check marks up there for? Yes, sir, way back there.
To know what you created in your writing.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I've gotten all the things I want to have in there, you know. And so here's what if you look right here, this big section, which is where most of the work needs to happen, what section is this?
On the bottom.
It is the body, and what needs to go within the body? What do you think? What needs to go in the body? Yeah, most of it, or right above most. Can you read that little word?
Resources.
Well, I love that, pretty close. It has to be about the reasons,
Oh.
right? So that's where most of my work has to be, right, is the body. That's where the reasons go. And then these are my reasons right here. I'm going to just go over before I write them. That there were a lot of studies that I looked at in all these articles, and that all of them said that homework was there were some results from almost every study that homework is somewhat yields some good things, somewhat, right? What kind of a word is somewhat? Yes.
Like, not a lot, but like between a lot and not a lot.
Right, yes, that there wasn't a ton of good stuff, but there was, in every study, there was some good things that came out of homework. Except for elementary, it said there was with very, very little value in elementary school for homework, right? And, you know, and so I just put that in there because I've got to explain that a little bit, right? It reminds me to say, by just writing a few things down there, that the article said there was very little value because young kids don't know how to study, right? And they said if kids don't know how to study, that doesn't really help the fact, homework doesn't help if they don't know how to study. And that's this part right here. And then there were some studies that talked about this, and I think this was really important for my preference, which said that what kids studied, what the homework was critical. And what they said, if homework was going to be successful, it had to be this word right here. It had to be practice of something they know or something they're coming to know, right? They said if the kids went home and just practiced what they know, they kept practicing it, that impacted test scores. But look at, if they said if homework was about new learning, that if you were sending stuff that kids didn't know well, that they had to learn, that it didn't impact, it did not impact test scores, right? And that kind of supports my thing about less is more, because we have to make sure that maybe the kids are going back practicing things, right, having practice time, versus sending things home to learn, right? Because when Colin used to say to me, that's not how my teacher does it, sometimes they were new skills, right? He wasn't really sure. And then the last thing I found in my studies is this. P stands for parent, right? When I'm taking notes, do I have to write everything out? Can I do abbreviations? Can I take notes? Why do I want to do that? Why do I not want to write out? Let me see, is everybody going to raise their hands? Let me see. Back there, what do you think, my dear? You can say it one more time?
If you abbreviate things, you don't forget what you want to write.
Right. And do I want to spend all my work on the plan piece, or do I want to just get things down to remind me what I have to say? Right. I just have to remember what P stands for and what ST stands for, right? What's P stand for? Parents. What's ST stand for?
Students.
And I also do this, if I had a T down there, what do you think that would stand for?
Teachers.
Oh, you guys are smart. So one of the articles that came through was that parents and students needed to understand the purpose of homework. That if everybody understood what the purpose was, that homework would be more valuable, right? But sometimes kids and parents don't understand what the purpose of homework is. Anyways, that's it in a nutshell. What do you think about my body? Do you think that's supporting, that's good reasons for mine? Okay. Now, before I do a little writing, what do you notice about my conclusion?
There's nothing there.
There's nothing.
I know.
There's nothing.
It's a blank.
It is a blank. I don't know about you. When you're writing, whether it's a story or what do you struggle with? I struggle with some things. What do you struggle with? What do you struggle with?
The theme.
Okay, you struggle with the theme. I think that's interesting, because I think that's a hard thing, right? And we have to think about the theme. What do you struggle with?
The conclusion.
All right, so that's kind of where I am, right? Is I struggle in stories. I struggle with ending it, right? My ending, and I'm having trouble with this conclusion, right? How about you back there? What do you struggle with?
Theme and conclusion.
All right, so Anybody struggle with beginnings? Do you struggle with beginnings? How to start something off? What do you struggle with?
I struggle with the middle because I try to keep it strong, but I can't.
Yes, and kind of keeping, and like me, I'm trying to put things in here, right, that support my opinion, right, and I can't put everything in there. I have to be selective, which is what I was selective about my information, right, because I think sometimes we put too much information in there. What about you?
I'm struggling on the catchy opening.
Okay, the lead, coming of leads, I think that's I think that's what a lot of people would struggle with. How about you? What do you struggle with?
Writing it down.
Okay, like what in particular? Writing it down.
Like writing, if I have it in notes, I
Oh.
would struggle with keeping the sentences short and long.
Okay, that's, so going from notes, I think people struggle with a couple of them. I think some kids struggle with how to take notes, what are the important words, right? And I think some people struggle with, they can do that, but they can't make it into their own sentence, right? That's a hard thing, yes.
Every time I write a story, it's always boring.
Okay, all right, so thinking about word choice maybe, right, you know, having good words, thinking about that, yes, what do you struggle with?
Trying to keep it smooth and just listing things.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like a list of things, right, so keeping it flowing. You guys have some really important struggles, what about you?
Don't go off topic.
All right, not then, that's exactly what I meant, right, that up here I had to state my opinion and I had to make sure that I had just the things that are gonna support that, yes,
I could see that on your papers right there
yes,
in your hand.
oh, yes.
That you were close reading.
I was doing some close reading. Are you guys doing the same thing, close reading? Okay, because it's very helpful to do close reading, right? And I had to go back a couple of times, right, to actually find some more things. All right, so can I just tell you, since I'm struggling with my conclusion, can I just tell you what I'm thinking and see what you think about this?
Yes.
All right, so let me just show you something. And this one right here, you can see lots of information. I just highlighted certain words, right? Because I wanted to get, you know, the important words. I didn't want to copy sentences out of the notes. Why? Why didn't I want to copy sentences out of there? Yeah, so I wouldn't be, did you ever heard the word plagiarize?
No.
Plagiarize is like you take somebody else's words, right, or you copy it right out of there. So I just took some words, and that's what I used for my, you know, for my note taking, right? I got it. See, remember? Did I remember this one? You see that right there? Hot topic. Remember? Did I use that the word hot topic in there? I did, but I didn't take the whole thing. I just used it in there. Okay. So you can look. And see, this is the other thing, I underlined this. Homework should act as a place where students practice the skills they've learned in class. It shouldn't be a situation where students spend many hours every night poring over something new. And then I wrote this, it needs to be homework is about a time of practice, not teaching, right? So I was making myself some notes. Okay, so this is what I'm doing with my conclusion. See if you think this is going to be helpful. This is one of the articles I chose. Remember, I chose it because I like this person right here, Alfie Kohn. And I was thinking about borrowing some of her language to help me with my conclusion. What do you think about that? All right. So let me think about some of the things I was thinking about right here. See if I can find. All right, like this one right here. What she says right here, she's giving suggestions, and she goes, so what's a thoughtful, she's talking about principles, so what's a thoughtful principle to do? And what word do you think might make a good conclusion that I might want to build off of? Say it again.
Therefore.
Oh, so, okay, therefore, well, yes, that could be part of a conclusion, the word therefore, leading into that. But I'm thinking about a word in this particular sentence or question right there. Do you see an important word in there? So what's a thoughtful principle to do? Yeah, say it again.
Thoughtful.
Yeah, I was thinking that the word thoughtful might be a good way to start, you know, for me to develop my conclusion. What do you think? So, because I might say, you know, teachers need to be thoughtful. So what am I going to write in my conclusion right here that, you know, would help me think about that? Yes. Yeah, I could just write this. I could write teachers. And how about this? I like kind of doing this. Do you know what this symbol is right there? And, or maybe I could do this. Maybe it's not teachers. Maybe it needs to be this. Homework. Does that look like kind of a good, you know, a good way to take some notes? So I could spend a little time talking about that, right? That teachers need to be thoughtful. Homework needs to be thoughtful, right? So, and then I might also, you know, put some things about what that might look like. And I was thinking about this. Can you see? Can you read? Huh? Yeah, so could that be something that I put down there and talk a little bit about reduce the amount? So, yep, so I could, what am I gonna write? Yes,
Reduce the amount of homework.
yep, do I have to write the whole thing?
No.
No, what could I say that's even shorter or more concise? What's that word mean, more concise? Put your hands back up. Try it, take a risk, be a risk taker. I'm gonna try to be more concise.
Maybe more consistent.
Okay, could be consistent. If I'm gonna be more concise, I could just, pull out a couple of words, right? I don't have to do it, so give me a couple of words besides reduce the amount of homework.
Reduce homework.
Yes. All right, so I could just put bullets here, right? And I put reduce homework. Is that gonna be enough to remind me what I wanna say? Okay. Anybody have anything else so I could be concise with my words? Yes?
Maybe when you're putting down homework,
Yes?
you put down HW.
Oh, I could even, think about homework, HMWK or something like that.
Like when we don't do our homework, we put down the
Oh, you don't write it out, so you take notes even when you're putting like the homework on the board? Does your teacher do that? And does everybody know how does she abbreviate it?
HW.
HW for homework, okay. All right, let me just see if there's anything else I know. These two I was thinking about. You see this one right here? It says, change the default, and you might not, I wasn't quite sure about this one, but this was a big one. It kind of means the same thing when I read this article. What?
It says ask kids.
Okay, so it said, maybe kids need to have more buy-in or more say in their homework. What do you think? All right, so somebody help me with my language for notes. What could I say? How could I be more concise with my notes? Yes, my dear.
Ask kids.
All right, ask kids. Yep. I could even think about changing the language a little bit so I don't plagiarize. Yes.
Ask children.
Okay, I can say ask children. Yes.
Ask ST.
Oh, ask ST. Ask students. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Asking child?
Yeah. How about this? I was even thinking about something more drastic. How about this? Can you see?
Owners.
Is that kind of the same thing, right? When you ask kids, it's about them having ownership, right? Taking responsibility. Oh, guess what I just did? I like doing this. I could do this. Can you read? Can you see?
Yes. Taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility. Okay. So, do you think this would be a good way to sum up my conclusion? So, talking about being more thoughtful, teachers need to be more thoughtful about the homework. It's not about not giving homework, but we really need to think about being more thoughtful, right? So, okay. So, are you ready for me? I just want to start my body, just quickly, right? All right. So let me read my introduction one more time. Do you guys have to reread all the time? What does rereading do for you? What does rereading do for you? Yes, my dear. It does help catch my mistakes. It catches my mistakes, but it also helps me make sure my story or my piece flows a little bit, right? You ready? Can you see? Me. All right. That's not how my teacher does it. Wasn't all too familiar reaction from Colin when I would try to help him with his homework in middle school. Homework is a hot topic these days because of all the high-stakes testing required by the state for all students. I think I want to end it though. I think it's too long, and I know sometimes you're not supposed to start with but I'm going to.
Or and.
All right. So I think I'm going to stop it because that sentence was a little too long. By the state for students. But perhaps that is a mistake. It may be less homework is the answer. Okay, yes.
A comma after but.
Say it again.
A comma after but.
Oh, you think so for a pause a little bit, just like that?
But.
Or it could be
But
perhaps.
I like that, close. Okay, you ready? So anyways, again, do you ever write anything? What grade is this?
Fifth.
Do you ever write anything that isn't a paragraph?
No.
Yeah.
No! Ah! Now, tell me, why might you write something that's not a paragraph?
Because
You might have a good reason.
my mind is just.
See, but like, I probably made your mind go blank, right? Yes, sir, what do you think?
Because like maybe like on a test,
Okay.
they only want like a couple sentences
Okay.
instead of an entire paragraph.
Okay, yeah, I think that's exactly, I was kind of joking a little bit, but what's my point? Do you have to, should most of your writing be in paragraphs?
Yes.
What's the problem with not having paragraphs? If you're writing a lot, what's the problem without not having paragraphs? Let me look and see, who's got their hands up? Does everybody get their hands up? She's not falling for that trick. Why do you think, what's the problem with not having paragraphs?
It's like run on, it's like an on end.
Yep, if you saw two different kinds of writing, one that was broken up into paragraphs, one that was just going, run on, right? Which one would you probably want to read first?
One with the paragraph.
Is it easy to read with paragraphs? It is, right? Because you can break it down a little bit, okay? So, I was joking, but pretty much we have to. And what do you know about paragraphing? What do you have to do when you're paragraphing? Let me see, who wants to answer this question? Yes?
You have to indent.
You have to indent, that's minimally, we have to make sure that, we kind of show that. So, how many indentations do you think I'm gonna have? If you look at my plan, how many paragraphs is my story or my piece gonna have? It's not a story. Yes, sir? Yes, I'm gonna have 3 paragraphs, and how many indentations am I gonna have? Be careful. I'm gonna have 3 paragraphs. How many indentations am I gonna have? You're asking like you're not sure. Say it like you're sure. 3, right? I am gonna have 3. So anyways, here's my first one. All right, let me just take something up. I'm gonna start right here with this bullet, ready? Indent. Can you see?
Yes.
I think I'm going to talk about what kind of studies they are. Most. Now, this is a good thing. When I'm writing, can I use my abbreviations when I'm writing?
No.
Seems like there's mixed opinions. And then in my mind, there's only one opinion that you can have. Can you use your abbreviations when you're writing?
No.
No, you can't. You have to spell. You have to write them out, right? Most homework. But you know what? I'm just quickly thinking that I'm going to change it a little bit. So. Why do you think I changed it from most homework studies to most studies on homework? When I read that most homework studies, I decided to change it. Yeah, for me, the problem had to do with using the word homework right next to studies. I didn't think people would know what I was talking about, right? So I thought they might understand, especially teachers, I think, most studies on homework, right? Now, this is what I want to put here, but I need some feedback from you because, I want to do this. I want to write this word or this word, right? Give me another word in 5th grade that I might be able to put besides, most studies on homework say, or most studies on homework state. Is there something else I can put up there that might be closer to a 5th grade vocabulary word? Provide. I'm liking that one. Provide. I love that. Who's got another one, right? Yes?
Required.
Okay, require. I don't know about that one because I'm going to try to get information. Provide information, I think might be a good one. What else might we come up with for?
Protest.
Yeah, I don't know if study, I love that you took a risk, I don't know if that's what I wanna say, actually, right? But always keep putting things out there, right? You gotta take risks, because that's how we learn, put things out there.
Claim.
Claim, oh, I like that one, what do you think about claim?
Ooh, Alex.
All right, we could say provide, or we could put, maybe I'll write both of them up there for a minute, provide or claim. Because is this a rough draft for me? All right, I am gonna do this though. I'm gonna line this out. Do I ever erase, do you think?
No.
No, do you erase?
No.
Yeah.
You never erase.
I do. I always
It's not like sense.
I love that people don't erase. It takes too much time, doesn't it? When we can, it's just, okay, it's just my rough draft. Most studies on homework provide, claim. Let me think about what I want to say though. Let me go back to my notes. That homework helps someone. Claim, I think I'm gonna do claim. Can you see?
Yeah.
Or I could probably, maybe I can say this. Can you still see? All right. All right. Most studies on homework claim that homework can be somewhat helpful for students. And can I put a little check mark next to this right here? All right. Let me do this, ready? The next part I want to do is this. Remember, this is the part where I'm thinking about right now. Can you still see?
No. Thank you.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Maybe comma. What word's coming up next? What word's coming up next? Yes, sir? Oh, so you think wasn't familiar? Okay, I could see that. What's another one though? Studies found that if students didn't know how to study, homework wasn't familiar. I could see that. What do you think, my dear, way back there? Say it again. Okay, I could see easy. But I'm trying to think. Remember, I'm trying to increase my vocabulary that I'm using, right? Because what grade is this?
Fifth.
What do you think? Okay, yeah. Yep, what do you think?
Because the homework was
Or
too
wasn't?
complicated.
Wasn't what?
Was too complicated.
Okay, that homework was too complicated, yeah. I could get rid of, not use the word wasn't, right, yes? Yeah, what do you think?
Major priority.
A major priority, okay. I'm thinking this, though.
Effective.
Effective, what do you think?
Effective on students.
Wasn't effective, period. All right, let me just take a quick, right? Except elementary, little value, did I say that? I think so, so I can put a check mark. If know how to study, I kind of said it the opposite way, right? But I think I said that, so I can check that off. And now I'm gonna stop right now, but what am I gonna say next? If I was gonna write my next sentence, what would I say next? Yes.
you were gonna state that homework is effective. You're gonna state that
If what?
if it wasn't, if it's effective.
Look at my notes up there, they might tell you, they might help you. Can you see them? Yep.
Practicing.
Yeah, that if it was about practicing skills, not
Learning.
not about new learning. Okay, you guys are great. All right, can I stop here for right now? All right, what do you think?
I have a comment. In your second paragraph,
Yes,
at the beginning,
yes,
because most studies on homework claim that homework